There was heckling, but there was no veto because he got to make his entire speech. As I say, nobody ran him off campus, out of the room, or prevented him from doing that. So there was no heckler's veto. All right. Now, neither the dean and I, of course, were there. Neither the dean or I were there, but it seems pretty clear to me that, as I say, while there was heckling, there was no veto. All right. So much for the notion that what this is all about, really, is a violation of the First Amendment and the rights of free speech of the Israeli ambassador. Let's move on from that bogus free speech issue and get to the real issue in the case of the UCI 11. And what is that issue? Well, of course, it's the issue that was underlying the reason why the Israeli ambassador was here in the first place, and why the Muslim students who went to his speech acted as they did. The issue, of course, is the issue of Israel and what Israel is doing in the world. You see, the Israeli ambassador, as he had every right to do, came to speak on this campus in defense of Israel and its policies in the Middle East and elsewhere. I say he had every right to do it. And the Muslim students, they didn't just sit on their hands while he did that, because in their minds, and frankly in the minds of most of the civilized world, he was a representative of a nation that is committing and has committed war crimes and gross crimes against humanity. And so they simply could not, and I would argue should not, have sat still in the face of that. Let's think for a moment. Let's assume for a moment that, in fact, the ambassador of Iran was invited to speak on this campus. And the Jewish students, and I see some of them here today, went to that meeting and behaved precisely as the Muslim students behaved in the face of the Israeli ambassador. Do you really think the university would have had them arrested? Do you really think the university would be threatening to throw them out of school or suspend them? You know damn well that is not what would happen. In that case, the university would have behaved as it should have behaved in the case of the UCI 11. All right. In short, they came to hear a speech. The speech was delivered, and a few people voiced their understandable disgust with what he was saying. So, if it isn't about free speech, as I say, what is it about? All over this country today, in virtually every campus, what is happening at UCI is happening. As criticism of Israel begins to grow and become more vocal on the campuses of this country because of their policies, because a Zionist himself, Mr. Goldstone, wrote a report for the United Nations saying Israel is guilty of war crimes and crimes against humanity. So the Israeli lobby, defenders of Israel, are doing something which they have a right to do. They're in a panic. The notion that Israel is this wonderful place on earth, this great democracy where human rights are recognized and so forth, is falling by the wayside. Already the rest of the world knows this. So they are fighting back desperately to make sure that there is not, on this campus or any other campus, criticism of Israel. That's why the Zionist Organization of America last week sent a message out saying Jews should stop contributing to this campus. Jewish students should stop coming to this campus, which of course is nonsense. And to the credit of a variety of Jewish groups on this campus, they said that's nonsense. Because they understand that criticism of Israel is not anti-Semitic, it's not anti-Jewish, it's what this university says this is all about: free speech. And so, we have to take our hats off to these students, because it isn't easy. It isn't easy to defy what you know is the wishes of your university. Chancellor Drake, Udorf, all of them. They don't want to lose money. They don't want to lose students. They don't want controversy. They don't want to see criticism of Israel on their campuses. And these brave students made sure that a representative of war criminals was not allowed to come to this campus and get away with it. And we should applaud them, we should stand with them, and if we have to, at the next time that happens, we should take their place in that auditorium proudly. And if Chancellor Drake and the people that run this university want to maintain it as a university where there is true academic freedom, true freedom of speech for all, then they won't try to hide behind bogus charges of anti-Semitism when somebody criticizes Israel. They won't arrest students who stand up and do what any decent student would do in the face of somebody who is an apologist for torture and war crimes. They will drop the charges. They will ask that they not be prosecuted. And they will say once and for all, we don't need a crisis counselor. We don't need to spend more of your money on that. We're going to recommit ourselves, whatever the cost, and however much criticism we may get from the defenders of Israel, we are going to continue to stand tall for academic freedom, for freedom of speech, and we're going to defend with all that we have the UCI 11. Thank you so much.
We're going to stand with the Irvine 11, right? Yeah. We're going to stand with the Irvine 17, right? Yeah. We're not going to bow down to racist power, right? Yeah. We're not going to bow down to Zionist power, right? I just want to make sure you guys are with me there. Something that came out of UCSD this last week when they were protesting the anti-black stuff that was going on down there was this chant. And Fanon, the vice president of the Black Student Union down there, she would say this thing, and some people might know what the response is. She would say, real pain, and what did they say back? Real action! Real pain? Real action! Real pain? Real action! Real pain? Real action! Real pain? Real pain? Let's talk about what that means real quick. What that means is that when a noose is hung, how many of you guys know what a noose means? The image of a noose. Ritualized murder. Ritualized murder. Lynching. That's what a noose means. So when someone hangs a noose, it's to traumatize, terrorize black students on the UC campus. So when we say real pain, that we feel real pain because we see the image of the noose and we see the ritualized murder, the ritualized torture of black individuals. So that's what our real pain is. What our real action is that we're not going to allow that shit to go down on this campus. When I look at the state of Israel and I see that all the UN violations that they make and all the murder that goes down on the part of Israel, and I look at my Muslim friends and I see their pain that they see when they look at Israel. And I understand that pain, and I understand what real action means, that I won't allow my UCI administration to bow down to Zionist power. That's what my real action is. So I say to you guys again, real pain, real pain, real pain, real pain. Yes, come closer, come in. Let's go, let's bring it in, guys, bring it in. Come close to me. Let's feel some student energy. Yes, real pain? Real action! 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 No justice? No peace! No justice? No peace! No racist? Police! No racist? Police! No sexist? Police! No sexist? Police! No Zionist? Police! No Zionist? Police! No racist? Police! No justice? No peace! No justice? No peace! Real pain! Real action! 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 Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free We're trying to make them here on fifth floor of the administration building.
Why don't we go over there?
Why don't we fucking go over there? Let's go. Real pain!